Deception.
I'm done. I can't do it.
That's worst.
It's over.
All right, folks. We're leaving. Welcome to the real world. My name is Cameron, joined by Carson.
Hey.
And we just got finished watching Argylle. This is the latest from Matthew Vaughn.
That's right.
This movie has been promoted heavily.
Yeah, I mean, this is played at the beginning of every movie gone to. It's got big posters all over the place. Humongous cast.
Huge cast.
We just got out of seeing it.
Our we just got out of seeing. Got out of Premiere Cinema 8 and Pizza Pub. You can watch our reaction on the channel now. But we thought we'd go a little more in depth because there's a lot to say about this movie.
There is.
This is a big movie.
I think this movie kind of embodies a lot of what's wrong with movies today.
Yeah,
because this is what living in a kind of meta postmodern era of film has kind of created.
Right.
Is this very insincere, very surface level kind of poke and nod. We know it's a movie and everything's fine. Because we don't really care what's happening.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is there's no sincerity and there's no heart behind everything that's happening.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's a lack of emotion, just a general emotional connection to any character, because all the characters are kind of caricatures of things that we've seen in other movies.
Yeah. I mean, I said even in our initial reactions that this would have been a great like Mel Brooks comedy. Yeah. Like the movie Top Secret.
Should have gone full spoof.
It should have leaned so heavily into we're making fun of movies like this.
Yes.
Making fun of franchise movies.
Yeah. Or
making fun of action movies.
Yes, exactly.
Making fun of movies that use too much CGI.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It should have leaned so heavily into that it would have been a great like spoof meta commentary on movies today.
Yeah, I agree.
And instead it's just a product of Hollywood. So it just kind of this movie has no substance. It has, there's nothing to take out of it because it doesn't give anything. This movie has so much plot, so much exposition,
so many plot twists,
so much just like it's just so in its own head about everything that it's not taking the time to actually build a story with meaningful characters. Yep. I don't know. This was a headache.
It's a big mess.
It was a headache.
It's a big mess, and so we're gonna get into some spoilers. We want to get really specific here on what we didn't like, and maybe even a couple things we did like, because I don't think it's all bad, but I think it's mostly bad. So, spoiler alert. So getting into some spoilers, one of my biggest problems with this movie is, like I mentioned before, the plot twists. They go back and forth with these characters on whose side are they on, who are they not on. Yeah. It almost gets confusing, and especially gets confusing at the end. We got to talk about the ending of this movie. So, it's one of the worst endings to any movie that I've ever seen.
It's almost, like I said, it's almost parody. It's almost funny what they're going for. But I think they're trying to actually build something here. So the post-credit scene of this movie, which isn't really the ending, but the post-credit scene...
Well, it's not really post-credits. It just happens.
Oh, I guess
they don't even roll any credits before it. If there had been post-credits, I probably would have cared less. But I care because...
It's the actual ending of the movie.
The actual ending of the film is they cut to this bar that says The King's Man, which is a terrible like AI image. It looks awful.
It looks terrible. Terrible establishing shot.
And then we get into this whole idea of, because what should have been the last shot of the movie is Henry Cavill standing up saying, "Do you have any questions for me?" And it's like, oh, there's a real Agent Argylle now?
Which collapses the entire reality of the film.
Because she was Agent Argylle, but now maybe she's not. And
so we should hold on. Because we're going all over the place. It's a little crazy. Let's go through just briefly what the plot of this movie is and what happened.
Okay, so the plot of the movie is Bryce Dallas Howard is a writer who is writing spy stories.
She's on the 4th book in the Argylle series.
That's right.
It's a spy thriller series. Yep. The opening of the movie is that book playing out. Yep. The whole book and the way that it ends.
All that was done really well.
It was fine. It
didn't look great, but
rough.
It was fine.
It has modern digital movie problems where it feels very flat and very static.
Right, but
the effects are clunky.
It's a fantasy book, so it's like they're just doing silly stuff.
Again,
things you can't really do.
Right,
you know.
It could have lent itself really well to parodying itself. But anyways, so she's a book writer,
right?
And she
meets Sam Rockwell,
who's
like a real spy.
Who's a real spy.
This is a real spy mission I'm on. You're part of this big conspiracy now. Yeah. We're trying to track you down, and there's this bad corporation, and I'm part of the good corporation, and all that stuff. And then she finds out, oh, wait, maybe he's a bad guy because he said he wants to kill me. And it's like thing after thing like that happens. And it's like revealed, oh, she's actually was an agent and she lost her memory. And they've brainwashed her to thinking she's a novelist, but she's really not. They're trying to get her to explain all these secrets so they can find this thing. It's just so much.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. Once you get to the end of the movie, you're like, I don't even care. I don't know what's going on. I don't care what's going on. Because, again, the characters are not established well enough. Yeah. The Sam Rockwell-Bryce Dallas Howard relationship I kind of liked because I just like those actors, I think, as the main reason why I liked it. They have some chemistry, I think.
None.
I think there's some scenes with them that really work.
I don't think so. I think it's all artificial. It's all just music cues and close-ups.
It's a lot. That's the problem. That's
all it is.
That's the problem. It's not the actor's fault. It's the writing. It's the direction. It's the editing. Yeah. All very poorly done. So, anyways, getting back to the ending.
The plot gets kind of out of hand and out of control and hard to even follow because, again, there's a lot of twists. Is she faking it? Is she actually? Is she whatever? But the movie ends. We blow up the bad guys and we're sailing away. And it fades out into basically this has all been a retelling of the last book
opening
that she's
scene,
written.
Right?
It's
back
the
to the opening
scene
scene of her explaining the book, and oh, we're so glad she wrote this final book. And then one last time, any questions? A couple of people ask questions, and then Henry Cavill stands up.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You got any questions?"
Who
for
is
me?
the fictional Argylle? He's the fictional character,
right? But he's sporting this bad mullet and a fan T-shirt.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you have any questions for me? And she looks at him. She's like, what? This is the character I've created. Yeah. It's been in my head this whole time. And he's a real person? Or does that suggest that actually that moment was in her head?
Well,
I don't know. It's so confusing. I have no idea.
Here's why I think it's not in her head.
Okay.
Because immediately after that scene, we get cut to 20 years earlier.
Correct.
Where we go into this bar, the Kingsman Bar. Which now this movie is a Kingsman movie.
Right.
The Kingsman Bar, we go into it. And here's this 20 teenage kid who goes into this bar and they hand him a gun and he says, oh, by the way, my name is Argylle.
Right.
And it's like...
Oh, so this is Henry Cavill younger?
What? And then it gets even crazier. Because after that, kind of confusing, what?
Zooms out again.
It zooms out again.
To the book cover.
Which is
Argylle,
the poster
which we've seen throughout the film.
Right.
So we're clearly like, oh, this is the book she wrote.
So it says Argylle, and then below the poster it says,
Book 1,
the movie, coming soon.
I don't get it.
What does that mean?
I don't get it.
Is that an actual project?
I guess that Kingsman scene is meant to set up this movie they're making called Argylle Book 1, the movie. I'm guessing Argylle Book 1, the movie is coming out in 2028 or whatever.
What a mess.
It's a total mess. It's embarrassing. Honestly, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because the Kingsman franchise has just fallen off completely. I mean, they made 3 of those movies.
I've never seen any of them. If this is any mark of quality, if this is any indication, it's warded me away from watching them all.
Awful. I don't see how they've made 3 of them, honestly. I guess they make money. I don't know who goes and watches these. I never hear anyone talk about them. I don't know who these Kingsman fans are that come out and see these movies.
Maybe it's a British thing. I don't know.
Maybe. I have no idea. But supposedly Kingsman... Because I did actually hear recently Kingsman 3 is in development. And then I guess instead of doing another Kingsman, they're doing Argylle now. Is the new spin-off series? I have no idea. So this movie, Argylle...
This is if not more convoluted than the Fast and Furious franchise.
Fast and Furious?
Which gets out of hand crazy very fast.
MCU? People think the MCU is confusing now? Forget it. Forget it. Kingsman is the most confusing franchise
This was marketed as and was supposed to be a standalone movie about a girl
no hint
who's
of
a writer.
Kingsman.
Well, it does say from the director of Kingsman.
Well, I mean,
but
he's done Stardust.
That doesn't mean that the Suicide Squad is connected to Guardians of the Galaxy, because
exactly.
at the beginning of that trailer it says it's by the director of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Correct.
It's silly. It doesn't make any sense. No. It takes us out of the movie. It makes the movie worse. It just makes the whole situation feel like I've just been watching one long commercial for something that's not even out yet.
Exactly.
It's a disaster. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to the art form. It's a disgrace to us, the audience. Yeah. It's unbelievable. This movie seriously gets me angry, and it embodies everything I hate about movies.
Yeah, it's sad because there's so much potential. Like, watching the trailer, we were both like, this could actually be interesting and fun. It could be like Night and Day, or Romancing the Stone,
right.
or some of these great action comedies that are just really fun to watch. And it wasn't.
It really wasn't. It's so silly.
Yeah.
That there's no danger.
No danger.
It's so silly that there's nothing really even funny because
not funny. That's the big problem.
And what's actually interesting about that,
it's unintentionally funny, is when you see Sam Jackson in his basement watching the Lakers game.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, he just was on set that day watching the Lakers game.
It literally feels like all of the actors are on vacation throughout the whole movie.
They shot it on a
just like sipping wine and dancing around. Sam Rockwell, I mean, he always acts like that, basically. Except for Moon. He's actually great in that movie. In Moon. But he's just like...
He's Justin Hammer.
He's flippant.
He's dancing. He's doing silly stuff. Yeah. He's saying one-liners.
Which Justin Hammer works so well in Iron Man 2 because the rest of that movie is serious. Like... Tony Stark is like dying. He has this illness and...
You're connected with the characters. You're in the story. Yeah. You're emotional about it. And here,
it makes Justin Hammer a funny character. Yeah. But because everything's so flippant, it makes all of the jokes fall flat on their face.
Totally flat.
If the movie was really serious...
No one in our audience laughed.
No.
Maybe once. I think once someone laughed.
Well, I laughed at the movie.
I laughed at the movie several times.
Because it was incompetent.
It was totally incompetent and just dumb. Yeah.
What a mess.
It's a mess. It's a mess of a movie. It's... like you said it perfectly. It embodies what's wrong with cinema today. Flat visuals, just convoluted storytelling, generic score. I mean, way overused soundtrack.
Here's the thing, because there are some sequences that look very, very visually interesting. The smoke grenade sequence looks very visually cool.
Sure.
The color and the music, and it's well choreographed. Mm-hmm. But
it doesn't earn it.
It only works in isolation.
Right.
In the context of the rest of the movie, it feels so out of place and bizarre, and it just does not work at all.
No, I agree. It's a bad movie. You shouldn't go see it. It was Apple TV original. It should have gone straight to Apple Plus because this is a streaming movie.
Exactly.
This is the definition of a streaming movie.
It feels like it was shot during the pandemic.
It does. Definitely feels like that. A lot of green screen backgrounds and just obnoxious, really, in many ways. So, yeah, I would say again, there's few good things about it. There's a lot of bad about it. I'm at 1.5 stars, I think.
1 star. I might go half star. Honestly, because the more I think about it, the more it actually gets me mad.
Yeah, and it's
because it could have been something interesting and creative if it took itself seriously and was trying to actually tell a story and have some kind of commentary about the state of cinema or writing.
It was the perfect opportunity to do that, and they squandered it.
They completely threw it in the garbage.
Or, like you said before, go full parody. Just make fun of everything.
It could have been an effective comedy.
Yes.
If it was really making fun of action films.
Right. Yeah.
But it didn't do it.
To me, this feels like, if you've seen the other Kingsman movies, it feels basically just like this.
It wet the bed. It's a big, hot, steaming pile of poop.
It is. Unfortunately. It is, yeah. It's sad because Matthew Vaughn, man, when he gets the right material, layer cake.
Matthew Vaughn, now listen, it's hard.
Stardust.
Exactly.
X-Men First Class.
First Class is like the best X-Men movie. So it's like, it's hard to judge people like that who can do amazing work, but really, it's not all of them.
It's not.
It's their team.
It's the screenwriter. It's the cinematographer. It's the producer.
Yeah.
There's so many people involved. You can tell it's like too many cooks in the kitchen in this movie. Just everyone's trying to. It's just too much. Way too long. It's like 2.5 hours. Why is this movie 2.5 hours?
It feels
Romancing the Stone I watched last night. It's 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Because what happened was they had so many ideas.
Yeah, they wanted to shove them all in.
Where they're like, oh, that's a funny idea. We'll have the girl sidekick character come back.
Right.
And we'll have her be a secret fan.
This little hole in the heart.
We'll have her be a secret fan who sent in this message that we'll establish earlier, and then that'll come back later, and we'll explain it 3 times just in case people don't get it.
Gotta really explain that. Show the email.
So that we can literally have her do one thing and then the movie be over. She came in and she literally knocked a little music box out of an old lady's hand, and that was the end. That was her whole purpose in the plot. And we spent like 30 minutes explaining it.
Yeah.
It was annoying.
Super annoying.
I had the same kind of problem with Bullet Train. Now, Bullet Train is a little different compared to this.
Bullet Train knows what it is.
Bullet Train, it's
has
self-aware,
the right tone,
but it also has Deadpool syndrome. Sadly,
a little bit, but not as bad as this.
Here was my same problem with that: is it took the exposition and made that the movie, and made the backstory the movie, and made just the constant explaining things. Explaining what's going on.
It's a writer getting into his head too much.
Exactly.
And the director going, okay, let's just shoot this.
Exactly.
The director had no vision.
And again, that could have been a great point that this movie was making.
Yes.
About writers. Because the main character is a writer.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay, she's getting so convoluted and caught up in all of these little plot threads.
Yeah.
That could have been used to tell an interesting story or to have something to say. And instead it was just garbage.
Absolute mess. Yeah. I agree. So yeah, big missed opportunity. I think that's why we're really down on this one, because there was so much potential. This cast, again, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, there's such great actors. There was so much potential here. They could have knocked it out of the park.
Have you seen?
It was just a big strike.
Have you seen that one Sam Rockwell was in recently? It's like a murder mystery kind of thriller.
See How They Run.
See How They Run.
Fantastic.
His role in See How They Run.
Simple, straightforward, funny, great story. Loved the characters,
and it used its writing and writer motif in a way that was clever and kind of came together to say something about that.
Love it.
See How They Run is a great film.
Go watch it. It's on HBO Max right now. Check it out. Skip Argylle. Forget it exists. Please let these Kingsman movies die. It's time for the franchise to end. I mean, I'm done with these movies. Let us know what you thought. Maybe you loved it in the comments.
Honestly,
I'd love to hear if people like this. I want to hear what they like about it.
I'm about ready to say end all franchises, because that might be the real problem here.
It's on that. See, and that's another thing. You know what? That's another thing. I really wanted this movie to be original movies are back. Whoa, this is a cool original idea.
That's what this year was shaping up to be. When we recently did our 2024 look ahead video, that's what it was looking like. It looked like this year had a lot of originals. It's like, oh, look, we've got...
Even the sequels look like they're fresh. Like Furiosa, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. They look like they're fresh, new ideas.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is going to be terrible. I'm just getting ready for it. I'm just getting ready for it. It's going to be terrible.
I really hope not. I don't think it is.
But again, it's like we had all of these. We had all these movies to look forward to that were going to be original and were going to be new. And
however, we saw a couple of great trailers. Monkey Man looks pretty awesome.
Now that's
an original idea.
Monkey Man could be great. It could be great.
Dev Patel.
Dev Patel's amazing.
Directorial debut. Jordan Peele's producing.
That's
Hello.
Right. I know. This got a lot of great people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But it could just have John Wick syndrome.
It could just be a John Wick ripoff. That's very possible.
John Wick syndrome. Very possible. It's like those movies alone and by themselves are great.
They're great. But you don't just need to remake John Wick.
What they've done to action cinema has kind of messed stuff up.
I don't know.
Because I see that with Fall Guy. I see that with like movies like Bullet Train. I see it with it's that whole genre.
It's possible. It depends on the tone. If they have a good story, if we like the characters. It looks fantastic. I mean, the visuals look fantastic.
Monkey Man
the lighting. Yeah. That's the thing about John Wick is like the cinematography is next level in those films.
Right.
And that's
because they care
about the craft.
Yeah, exactly.
Argylle, they don't care about the craft.
No.
They're just making. They're there to make
money.
Apple
TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus.
Cameron, it's Apple TV Plus.
Hey,
they don't make movies.
Shove it down your throat.
They make computers.
Shove in garbage food that you're eating on your TV tray.
They make computers and iPhones.
That's it.
They don't make movies.
They're selling products. This is a product. It's a Kingsman product. And the Kingsman brand is garbage.
You know what the worst part about it is? I was tricked into watching a Kingsman movie.
That's the worst part. That's the worst part. I agree.
I knew to stay away from the Kingsman movies. Those don't look very good.
They're awful.
And I was tricked into watching one because they said, "Oh, this isn't that.
Right, this is
its original thing. This is new." And it's not.
It's a major letdown. It's deception.
I'm done. I can't do it.
That's worst.
It's over.
All right, folks. We're leaving. Make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell. And we'll see you next time.
Garbage!
Right here on The Real World.